Education multiplies their chances and places the world of opportunity in their hands. No matter where they are in the world, make sure they're prepared for their journey back to school with Western Union. School fees, books, room and board, whatever the reason. Knowledge, independence, opportunity. Western Union, moving money for better.
And we are back in the room on this Wednesday, June 9th. Good morning, everyone. Just giving you guys a chance to come on in quickly because we got a really, really nice conversation set up for y'all today. Christelle, good morning. Andrea, good morning. Rita, good morning, ladies. And I'd love to get the men in here this morning because that's what the conversation is all about. Let me just share. And as soon as you come on in, you can do that as well. Alrighty, so alright, I think we're good to go. Alrighty. So yesterday we had a really nice conversation. I tell you, morning, Kareem. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah. Yesterday. Good morning, Fire Ass. How are you? Not hearing you. Your mic muted.
Try this here.
All right, hearing you now. How art thou?
Me have to jump off and jump back in. Let me just give me 1 minute.
Okay, I'm hearing you fine though. I'm hearing you, but it seems they're not hearing me. All right, so just jump out and jump in quickly again. Shanice, good morning. Marion, Michelle, Deslyn, Della, Narissa, Jackie, good morning. So yesterday, good morning, Dale. Yesterday we had a really, really nice conversation, right? Based on what transpired on Monday. We spoke about domestic violence, abuse, what have you, and it was a really, really good conversation. I appreciated the men calling in and those of you who are on the chat, adding your voice to the conversation or on the WhatsApp. It was really, really, really nice to have you guys. You back? You hearing me now?
I am. Are you guys hearing me?
Yes, we are.
All right. So good morning, everyone.
I think I'm getting a kind of little echo. Let me just check with my audience. Are you guys hearing us fine? Hearing everyone fine? Just let me know. All right. Zavid, good morning. Deslyn. Lydia, good morning. Yes, as I was saying, we had a really nice conversation, and I want to continue that this morning, but I'm not going to be doing a lot of talking this morning because most of the times they're like, women are always the one, and we don't give men a chance to speak. Now, I've got two young gentlemen in studio, and I want to give them the opportunity this morning. I'm going to chime in, but they're going to lead basically the conversation because I'm not a man. I can speak for men. I can only speak for women. I can only speak for myself. And, based on things my sisters go through and what have you, I can speak on that. I have absolutely no idea what it means to be a man or what a day in the life of a man looks and feels like. So today we want to discuss, highlight the issues of men today. We want to highlight and discuss those. What are the main positive and negative issues of men? Are we neglectful of men's issues? Do men believe that we are? And how do men deal with their problems? And how can we better support them? That is what we want to discuss this morning. So this is where the two young gentlemen, they're going to come in, and you can chime in, you can call in, you can add if you figure, they're not representing enough or they're missing out certain things. You can chime in and, add your voice to the conversation, right, men? So I hope we're going to have you guys on board because you always say, hey, ladies, room, y'all ain't giving us a chance. Today is your chance. So Kareem and Fire Ass, the floor is y'all. The floor is yours.
Well, like you said, very good discussion we started there yesterday. And starting with the positive, I must say, growing up as a young man in society, it's the opportunities and so on are there, like in school and so on, you sort of have that support. I mean, even though you didn't go to an all boys school like me, right? Even if you went to another school of boys and girls, for me personally, there was that support in terms of preparing you for society. And I know my fellow GBSS all boys could attest to that, right? It was sort of, and I mean, things has kind of changed now. It wasn't that long ago, but things have changed now, but when you went to school, it wasn't just going to school and the books, right? It was about how you wear your clothes, how clean your shoes was, how you speak, your hairstyle, it was even
So grooming
as
was
far
part
as,
of it.
yeah, as far as how you walk, like people like Mr. Hercules, Mr. Lord, Mr. Ashby, Mr. Philip, Mr. Mitchell, these people, it was down to how you walk, and even when like a guest would come into school and stuff like that, we had to stand up, hand behind your back, you greet them properly and so on if a guest comes or so, so it was just more than you do your homework, you finish your assignments, try and get all A's, try and get a 90% average. It was much more than that. But I feel like no, we have kind of lost that. And it is sad that we're losing it because that's where it starts, in the school and at home, right? Even in the home now, thank God for COVID, people are having more family time. But before, prior to COVID, everybody busy, everybody about their own life. You give the kid a gadget. You give the kid a gadget at age 2. The kid own a tablet at age 2. And you as the 40-year-old parent had to come and ask your 5-year-old and your 6-year-old how to do this on the phone, or how to do this on the tablet, or you're asking your 10-year-old, I can't download this thing on the computer, and come and think it for me.
Stick a pin. Let me get Fires to come in for a minute because I'm seeing the anxiety. He's ready to go.
I'm listening, but again, good morning to everyone who is listening, who's viewing. Before I dive into the topic at hand, Aruna, and this is a question for the ladies, and just something for you guys to think about as we discuss the topic. Essentially, what does a good man look like to you, and what type of job should a good man have? Just something for the ladies to think about in the meantime, because we're speaking of men and some of the challenges that are faced. In society, there is this box that a lot of the times are placed, and ladies would check as they go along, or society would check them as they go along. And as of late, you would be hearing that the focus would have been a lot on, let's say, the white collar jobs or blue collar jobs, as we call it, not so much on the skills sector of things. So I want to put that out there to kind of get from the ladies, what does an ideal man to them look like? Because a lot of the time that is where the challenges start, or where the challenges begin, because persons are trying to check those boxes, and then there are so many issues that begin to develop as they attempt to check those boxes. You start having a lot of stress-related issues. Anger management becomes a problem. And then these things tend to lead into domestic violence. You have anxiety, you have depression. There is the role of a father and being able to financially provide to the family. And when you look at it, is there like a safe haven that men can go to and discuss or talk to someone and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is a situation that I'm dealing with, and not be ridiculed or not be looked at as, being soft, or even where you would find that the homophobic comments may come in if a man decides to show his true emotions or show how it is that he's feeling. So there is a lot of pressure that society places on men in general, because they expect for us to look a certain way, to act a certain way, to be a certain way. But a lot of the times, that is not ideally what a man is supposed to do or who a man is supposed to be. So it starts from there. Society has to step back a bit, reevaluate what is it exactly that they're asking for us as men. And I think once that happens, then we can start seeing those safe havens being created where persons are now able to really speak and show how they feel when it comes to their emotions. Because I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the times I think that as men, we bottle up our feelings. We don't show no emotions. We keep it inside because we don't wanna appear weak. We don't wanna cry, So that is some of the issues that I know that as men that is being faced daily.
So you're saying one of the biggest fears of a man is being judged somewhat?
Correct.
Kareem, you think the same way or feel the same way?
For the most part, I was, because I mean, it's just like you said, right? Men are sort of, as young men especially, no, they're sort of afraid, and they won't tell you that, but you could see that they're afraid. And it was like the point I was making yesterday. They're afraid to put on nice clothes. They're afraid to look good instead of having your pants where it's not supposed to be, on your knees, or in terms of just grooming and stuff like that. You think people might say, yeah, you're on the other side, or yeah, you feel all that, or yeah, So I mean, it is tough, and I mean, to tie in the emotion with it, yes, we do keep a lot of stuff bottled up, because it is as though you're supposed to be that rock. Men take the word rock to not mean foundation, but they take rock to mean hard rock stone. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you're supposed to be that tough kind of, instead of foundation, instead of leader, So
Stick a pin for a minute. Somebody trying to jump in. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I came from a different era from Karim, and I guess Faras. I'm almost a 60-year-old man.
It's good to hear somebody from that.
I went to GBSS too. When I went to GBSS, there was strong women like Miss Mason Francis who taught you to be a man. And of course, you had men like Mr. Ambrose Phillip who taught me.
Yeah, let's take a bit for a second. That is one of my biggest issues. And I think that is why we are where we are now. Because how does a woman teach a man to be a man? Shouldn't a man teach a man how to be a man?
Well, that's what I'm telling you. I had Miss Mason Francis who taught you the finer point, and you had Ambrose Phillip, Mr. Val Francis, and so I wasn't really, I missed Mr. Ashby. But you had Chris DeRiggs, for example, taught me at that time too. So you had some, I grew up I had a single parent. My single parent was a mom who was, well, believe you me, she was very much both, she was a mother and a father. She taught you the finer points in life. She made sure that you knew how to treat ladies, how ladies want to be treated. And you had, of course, Miss Mason Francis when you went to school. Mr. Walter St. John, who was a man, but his wife was a finer lady, and that sort of thing. So I think I had an era where I actually knew what is expected of you. We didn't have this silliness where you had to look as a vagabond. As a matter of fact, when I went to school, the neater and better you look, the more chicks you got. You dress nicely, you play sport, you are very much a man, but we always knew you put your pants in your waist and your shirt in your pants. We had we didn't go much he had Rasta and them kind of thing, but in my era was Afro. You had an afro, you plait your hair and you blow out your afro in the morning neat. And if you had hair in your face, it was always neat. You had your sideburns and your mustache, and everything was very, very neat. That's how I grew up knowing it. Now, I mean, it is very difficult for me to understand why you don't dress properly.
Because you see, the thing is too, when I look at when I went to school, my teachers were like, my mother age, so you saw them as this person you have to have respect for.
But of
They
course
were
you
way
have to.
older and way older than you. So you didn't
Yeah.
see them as, well, I'm a friend. I see we drink in the same bar and we lime on Wall Street together. No, you never saw. As a matter of fact, I used to wonder if these people ever went anywhere. I never saw them anywhere. So in terms of what we have now, we have like teachers who are younger in the classrooms. So do you think that could have an effect as to why the teachings are the way they are now as compared to when we had older teachers in the classroom?
It is a major thing. It is major. I mean, when I went to GBSS, yes, we thought some people went to Form 6 in GBSS, and if you were in Form, you were like in Form 3. The people who were in school with you could still come back and teach you, but there was no way you try to disrespect them. There was this kind of discipline where a teacher is concerned. Sometimes a teacher is only 2-3 years older than you, but they were macho because they went to Form 6. Like I said, we had Form 6, so you spent 2 more years in GBSS. You spent 7 years in GBSS in my time, right? I think I was about the last Form 6, 1979, the year of the revolution. So, we're talking old people here as far as Carryman them is concerned. They're talking, they're an old man. But notwithstanding that, people like Bushy, Wayne Williams, and them came back and taught in GBSS, and they were slightly older than you, even Ambrose maybe a few more years older.
But they still commanded that respect.
That is the thing. They commanded respect. There was no way that you could go and be slapping 5 with them, or you would be seen drinking in the bar with them, or they did not smoke a marijuana with you. Mind you, I did not drink or smoke marijuana or anything like that. But I don't think that they did that. Well, I don't know if they did it at all. It wasn't with you, and you had Miss Jacqueline Creff taught, and Miss Mason Francis, who up to this day is one of my best friends. Not with me and Miss Mason Francis. Chat all the time. I'll call her and we will talk and that sort of thing. But there was this sort of maturity, and when they taught you, you didn't dare not button up your shirt. As a matter of fact, I remember Mr. Francis, we call him Feel Free. So you had to button your shirt up to the last button, and some fellas thought they get away with it. They took out the button. Mr. If you just come with what you call a stapler, and you just clip and you staple your shirt right up to the.
And now you're walking through town and you're seeing GBS's boys with their tie in their pocket or their tie in their bag or something like that. Listen, you did that. Hey.
In my days, you had a choice with badge or tie. I never liked tie because I said that is colonial. So I wear my badge and my pocket, so I had my badge, but my shirt button right up to the last button, and neat and flat. And of course, I was a fitness freak, so you had flat stomach and thing, and you want everybody show flat, and your chest and your arm and thing big. And we spend time on ourselves to look good because we know we got a second and a third glance from the chicks. When you do that, I don't know how people dress these days. The chicks in my time would never look at these fellas with the pants below the bottom. They wouldn't get a half a look with them. And fortunately for me, I grew up with, I have 5 girls, and I taught my girls how to look at men. So I know my girls would not look at the fellas with the pants. I am absolutely certain they don't stand a ghost of a chance.
Probably, and even if they start to look at them, they can't bring them home.
I mean, come on.
Before you go, though, let me ask you this, though. Do you think extracurricular activities has a role in it? Because for me, when I went to school, I was in junior achievers, young leaders, cricket, running,
choir, that.
So when 2 o'clock and people rushing out the door to go on, you had to stay back in school 4 and 5, and then you had to go home and explain why you're late and thing. And so, but I still think that gave us like when you finish do these activities, it's like you could just breathe, you just feel good.
There's no time to get into trouble. That's the whole point. You don't have time to get into trouble.
Mr. Francis brought a few of us on stage,
Mm.
and I was a little bit to bring us on stage. So when in junior assembly, and a little bit embarrassing. But what he said, look at these boys. He said they're on the football team, they're on the track and field team, they're on the cricket team. He said, and you want to know something? The president of the science club. He said, and they are in the first five in every exam they do. He said one thing that permeates the whole of that: discipline. He said the same discipline that makes you a good footballer is the same discipline that makes you study your work, is the same discipline that makes you dress and speak properly. He said discipline. Our
Gotcha.
biggest problem now,
Mm-hmm.
discipline.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks so much. Have a
Have a
good
great
one.
day.
Marina, in terms
love
of
that input.
in terms of the
Hold on, let's come in. Let me get Firas to come
Mm.
in. Before you come in, Firas, someone here is saying men need life skills, personal development training, example in the areas of power of a positive attitude, leadership skills, anger management, conflict resolution, self awareness, managing emotions, first and second crisis.
I totally agree, Aaron. And I knew when we had a discussion a few months ago, as it pertains to school. I know we at that time we were more focused on the ladies at that time and young girls, but this is exactly where we can also incorporate things in the syllabus for adolescent, men, young boys, and these are things that can start even from the primary school age to start teaching folks this thing, because there are a lot of young men, children that are walking around with a lot of hate, a lot of anger. They are depressed and they don't know how to deal with it. So if we start teaching these life skills from since you're in primary school, then it makes it easier when you transcend to secondary school. You continue getting these teachings. You move into the tertiary side of things, you continue getting these teachings. Then at that point it becomes part of you, it becomes almost second nature. And to me, these are a lot of the things that can be added into the syllabus, added into the school curriculum, because these are the things that we need right now. And let's say that if these things were continued from, let's say, from that gentleman who just spoke, if these things continued from his era up to this point, I think that we would be looking at a much different society where men would be better able to handle situations and deal with themselves. Now, again, as I always say, in the heat of the moment, we never know what can happen. A lot of the times, we would look at the situation and we say, well, if it was me, I wouldn't do that. But honestly, in the heat of the moment, because you don't have that level of control with your emotions, you would just act out. And then after, you would sit and think and say, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have handled that differently. But then where is the training? Where is the life skill that you would have developed in order to have that? It cannot be found. So we need to start somewhere, and it has to start in school.
Do you guys think that, especially now, the era and times that we live in, there seems to be more absent fathers than back in the day? Of course, the caller would have said he grew up in a home, a single mother. His mother was mother and father. But to me, back then, even though your father was absent for whatever reason, the village played such an important part that you didn't really miss out, because you had an uncle who looked out, who checked in, just like that's his son. You had teachers, you had whoever who checked in, and you sort of had that support, so that you didn't miss. Yes, you missed it, you having your dad, but it's like you didn't, because so many other things filled that gap. So many other people were there to help. But now it's like you're hearing so many cases of single mothers, young mothers, trying to do it all by themselves, one, two, three, four, five children, and not having the time or the energy. Imagine having three or four boys as a woman, and there's no father present. Having one, I see the stress and trouble one gives, and you have four and five, and you having to deal with that. How can you adequately give them the time, care, and attention that they need to grow them up in the way that we're asking for them, to be, when you don't have the support of a father or a male figure or whatever? So too many women are growing their children up by themselves. I don't care whatever issues you have with the mother, you all deal with that on your own timing. But there's absolutely no excuse for you to have sex, have a child, and abandon that child. because you and the mother don't get along, or you all fall out, or whatever. Or the woman might be toting feelings because whatever, and decides to keep the child away for whatever. To me, that is selfish. It's not about you anymore. And that is something I tell people all the time. When you have a child, it's no longer about you. Nobody cares about you anymore. It's about that child. So when you put all your attention into fighting with the father, back and forth, just putting up statuses and shading and WhatsApping and what have you, and that child is being ignored and neglected,
And
what do you think happens?
to interject, as you already said, the aspect of a village no raising a child, that is no more.
Nope.
Because you can't talk to my child. I don't want you speaking to my child, and you have that is the mindset right now. It's a lot more selfish. Persons who are more caring back then, they would look out and they would ensure that as a child you were grown up in a particular way. The respect, the discipline, it went along with the good morning, the good evening, and we can go on and on about those things, but
Listen, I got
start to
lashed
see
for
that
passing a
yeah,
neighbor
it
street and
doesn't
not
exist.
saying good morning. I got beaten for not telling the neighbor good morning because I figured, you know what, the neighbor and my mother wasn't talking, so you know
Mm.
what, me and telling she
You
no
get
morning when I
away.
passing. Like, how I reach it that? That was the blows I got. How you reach it that? Stay in your place as a child, you know?
I think there's a lot that needs to be done, and I think with everything that's happening now, with COVID and all these things, you tend to see that persons have gotten a lot, well, I would say a bit more selfish because of everything. Persons just want their space to be in their safe space, but we really need that village raising children that has to return in some way or the other, because as you rightly said, there are a lot of single mothers out there, and just being able to have all these eyes to look after your child, it's a big relief, it's a big help knowing that someone out there responsible as a male figure is able to speak to your child and still teach them certain principles, things that they can learn and things that can help them through life. So there is a lot of work that we as a country has to do in order to see that change that we were looking for.
Um, how do men deal with their problems? Kareem and then Firas can jump in. How do y'all deal with your problems?
Mm. Mm, 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 mm.
Honestly, how do men deal with their problems?
Hmm.
What are some of the coping mechanisms you use?
Well, men don't talk a lot. For us to talk our problems, it might be probably a casual conversation with the fellas or with the boys, something like that. I mean, if you have that, but to say you're gonna dive into it, and even when you're talking to the fellas, like I said, it's very casual boy thing, and you're just being yourself around them, you're just venting basically.
Mhm.
But it's not like I have something serious I want to talk about. What do you think? And then the other person would say, okay, I think you should handle it this way. I think it doesn't go down like that. So
Mhm.
most of the times we find ourselves sort of dealing with it on our own. Some people might turn to the drinking, turn to the smoking, unfortunately. Whereas some people again might say, well, like they just cast it aside then. It will
Mhm.
fix itself basically. So you don't deal with the problem. If you realize that when you're in a relationship, right? A man would quicker, like a lady, a woman, she might come and quarrel or want to deal with a situation, and the man might be like, so why you getting on so far? Just leave that day, just forget that. That kind of thing.
Mhm.
So think of it like that across the board. We push things aside. And I mean, y'all could argue me, but we push things aside. We don't deal with things every single time. It has to get bad, bad, bad for us to actually deal with something and nip it in the bud. So and when it gets bad, then it becomes too late. That's when it's bottled up for so long, so it becomes negative energy, and then we portray that. So for me personally, I've been trying, simple things, sometimes you could just take some time to yourself, take some space. Nobody's saying you have to run and talk your things all the time, but sometimes you could just take some space and so on. The music for me is very influential these days. And we underestimating this thing about Trinidad and Greenibad and this bad, and we are on, from a DJ standpoint, Aruna,
Mhm.
it is being underestimated. Listen, when you play these
So you
songs,
use that as a coping mechanism?
no, I'm saying it is negatively
Mhm.
impacting men
Mhm.
because when they listen to these type of negative music and you get into a problem, right? You're
Mhm.
gonna act out what is in your mind.
Mhm.
You listening this song in headphones every single day, you know, use a G, you're bad, you're this, nobody can style you, you're a gangster, don't let nobody think. You will act that out when you end up in a
That's a
predicament.
topic I want to have as well. I spoke on it this morning with Prime Minister Mia Mottley talking about the music. So we're gonna probably will
Yeah,
have
you
that as a
know.
separate topic.
So I
But
mean, music is twofold. So you could probably find the right type of music to cope. For me, that's what I use as well. You know, utilizing the beach, stuff like that. Or if you want to talk to somebody, but we keep it bottled up. It becomes negative energy, and then when it's too late, that's when we end up in situations like yesterday,
like Monday.
like Monday.
Fires.
Well, I'll be brutally honest. Aaron, a coping mechanism for us as men is substance and alcohol abuse. That is the easiest, one of the easiest way out. I am for persons that may have a stronger mindset. Persons that might be on a certain spiritual level, they may pray on it. They may find it within themselves to sit with someone that they're very close with and speak about it. For me, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm really going through something that is difficult, my mom would always be someone that I would go and I would say, hey, you know what? Because I can be real with her. That is the type of relationship that we have. So I can say, hey, look at what the situation is. But a lot of the time, again, as I said, it's finding that safe haven where you can discuss what is it that you're going through, what is happening. And not dealing with the issue a lot of the time is one of the other ways, as Karim rightly pointed out. And then you start getting that bottled up. It rises, bottled up again, it rises, and then when it gets to where it is choking you, where it is almost too late, then you find that you explode. We need to have a lot more counseling facilities or places where men can go sit and speak to each other and talk about things, because believe it or not, whilst it is that there are men out here that may not be able to deal with their situations or speak through it, there are other persons who have dealt with it, who know how to deal with it, and they would be willing to share their tips and how it is that they got through the years, and now to them it is second nature. So we need to have a lot more safe havens. We do know that confidentiality is a problem. So a lot of the times you want to talk about your issues, but like, okay, I come and I tell it, and then in the morning or later on tonight, hey, but I hear you're going through this, I hear you're going through that. And it's like, oh my God, where is that confidentiality? Where is that safe haven that I can go and feel and just release everything and not really be worried about it coming back at me or it being used as a joke or something like that? Because somebody could really be depressed, really be down, and they just really want someone to sit and have a chat with. And a lot of the time that is just absent.
So someone here is saying men way of dealing with problems or issues is by not dealing with it.
Pushing it aside. Yeah.
The way
Hoping
men
that
deal
will
with
time,
issues
it will-
is by not dealing with it.
Yeah, it work itself out.
It will work itself out. How does it work itself out if you do nothing about it? If you don't talk about it or you make no attempt, you push it to the back of your mind, then something else comes up and you add that to what's at the back there. Something else comes, then you add it. Sooner or later, what's in the back there is gonna explode. You keep filling up the back and just adding more to the back and not taking out one by one and dealing with it. Now, they say women are the more, of course, it's obvious, we're more emotional. We talk about anything. You're going to know if our toe is aching. You're going to know if we're on our monthly. You're going to know everything. And y'all see this as nagging and talking too much. But that is our way of getting it out. Because imagine the two of us in the home, both of us keeping it in. When we finally explode, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So not all the time women talk or say or discuss certain things means it's attacking you, or it's because you're against you, or it's wanting to fight with you. It just says that is our way. We believe in letting it out, and y'all believe in keeping it in.
Mm-hmm.
So one lets out, one keeps it, one retain, and then problems.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and women, I think sometimes we a lot of the times men, and spoke to someone yesterday who said that a lot of the times men want to speak up, but it's because they don't even get the support from their own partners, the
Mm-hmm.
women that they
Mm-hmm.
probably married or living with or call their significant other. They don't think they don't get support because they would open up. We would ask you to open up, be vulnerable, express yourself, all your innermost, deepest feelings, desires, what have you. And according to a friend, two twos, we get into an argument, and there you go telling me, "Oh, I'm a soft man. Look at you, big man like you, and you're feeling this way, and blah blah blah."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the next time I know what to do, not say anything. So as much as we ask men to be vulnerable and to be open and to be honest and discuss how they feel, we have to be understanding that hey, it takes a lot for a man to be open. So if you have a man who do that,
I'd appreciate that.
listen, don't use it as a means to attack him, but use it as a means to
Mm-hmm.
support him and help build him up. You can't ask him to speak, and then when he speaks, you use that against him.
Mm-hmm. But I think what it is for me is a lot of men believe in temporary fixes, eh? And the reason why I say temporary fixes is, take this for example. You and your partner having an argument. You cannot get that woman to have coitus. All she wanna do is talk. She wanna talk about it, fix it. Maybe after, if we good, then
Yeah.
we could get to
Yeah, I
that.
feel y'all could sleep you all way through.
But with a man,
No, it don't
you
work
could
like
get
that.
us to do that easy
No.
in the middle of an
We are
argument.
emotions.
And then when we done, we move on with life.
Someone here is making a really good point. She said, music, weed, sex, coke, rum, sports. There's loads of other coping mechanism men use to escape their own difficulties, and that's because of the masculinity thought, Tony's, that we have to be strong, taught to us that we have to be strong. We overwork, overcompensate. In our homes in the Caribbean, there's not many father roles playing out, even if a man in the house. Very few men take initiative and educate and lead their household or other responsibilities. And it's not that we can't do it, but there's no place for making it I missed the bottom, hold on, for making it comfortable to deal and explore as we want to most times. Now counseling and mentoring is another big gap need to be filled out, because workout support, there's no way we can move forward and add value properly. It's detrimental to our society. You're right. You're right. Some men minds are like reservoir. They store all their problems there instead of making it a channel to let it out. And I think that is the problem. Getting to a place where y'all are comfortable enough to speak up. And like I said, not wait until you're in your 30s, 40s to learn that. This is something that to me you should be taught as a child, and not told to swallow it up or shut up, don't cry, be a big boy. And then you're beating them and telling them, mom, ain't you mommy's big boy? And what big boys don't cry? So
They're
from that
crying
very
for.
early age, you've been conditioned to not show emotions or feelings. Being beaten, you're hurting, and you're told to keep a straight face. So from very early, and I think that is something we need to stop. If you beat a child, whatever, let them show their emotions. Let them cry, scream, roll on the ground. Let them express how they feel. But you're telling them to bottle it up from since then. So you grow from a baby all your life hearing that, and then when you reach 30s, 40s, you're being, okay, I can express myself. Where do you start? How? So it's a conditioning. It starts from small. It starts from very small.
And as I said, we need those safe havens, and we need to start lobbying with the educators to include these things in the curriculum, so at least we can start teaching these life lessons. Because as you rightly said, let's say from 5 to 17 or 5 to 16, all you're taught is to be strong and be powerful and whatnot, but it doesn't mean that that cannot come with emotions. It doesn't mean that that cannot come with expressing yourself. It's just being able to do it correctly. So if taught how to do it correctly, then I think that that would help curb a lot of the problems that we're seeing in society today. Um, And I'm hoping that, as men, myself and a few other friends, I'm hoping that we can work together to start doing, things where men can feel comfortable speaking about the challenges and issues that they're
I
going
wish
through.
you would. I wish you would. Yourself and Kareem and other young men, y'all need to start
We
something.
we have the forum, we have the forum we can use to do that. So I think it's important that we start
So
something
you're
along that
free.
line.
You don't have to pay for it. Do lives, do thing, and cause create interaction. Even if you have two people looking, start somewhere. Let them know there's a place you can come to talk. There's a place where you can express yourself. We have a WhatsApp group chat, not group chat to discuss people's business and what and what. There's so many things we can use it for, you know. Anyway, we gotta go. But before we do, someone says, I think we have adopted way too much of the Western world, as it's called, and have deleted most of our traditional upbringing. And when the results, as what we are seeing now, starts to show, we raise all these questions. But fundamentals are part of our culture and future while implementing the good ways of the modern world. You're so right. Someone says the current curriculum does include HFLE. My child is learning about communication and emotions in his school environment. Gotcha. Alrighty, guys. Final word before we go.
It'll be nice if like some of the older men in society, and I mean a lot of young men right now, they don't necessarily need a father in the house, but it'll be nice to have a father figure, someone that you could look up to, someone that you could talk to. And I mean simple things, like little advice on taking loans, little advice on building, starting a business, getting things going for yourself as a man, so that you could start your life the right way. Because the hardest thing to do is start, but sometimes you don't even know where to turn. So you're just making all these abrupt decisions, and then sometimes when it gets sticky, then you become flustered, and then you start to take wrong roads.
Frustrated.
So it'll be nice if some of the older guys in
Older men,
society, the older men, you could take up certain roles. I mean, it might be somebody in your community, it might be somebody even if they're in their 20s and so on. I know a lot of us does feel we man, as they does say,
And you
but
know everything, but you don't.
yeah,
need guidance.
so a little guidance will be nice,
Cyrus?
from that. Yeah.
For me, it's just calling out, the Ministry of Social Welfare and Development. I know a lot of the time things are done for women. A lot of focus is placed there. So, at least trying to look in the direction of the men and creating, one or two safe havens in the parishes that men are able to utilize. Where there is this level of confidentiality, and as Karen rightly said, just trying to get some of the elder men out there who can share some of the tips and things that they would have used over the years to cope with a lot of the situations that would have been faced with, would have been difficult. Just getting them to chime in as well.
Alrighty, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys start something. Not just talk about it, but be about it. Any way I can help, you know where to find me. So we're gonna definitely have a follow up again, and that follow up would be, hey, we started something, and we want to talk about it. And we want to invite men to be part of it. All right, fire. So I'm lighting the fire under your feet. Get this going.
It's already lit, but thank you so much, and thanks for having me, and wishing everyone a blessed day.
As
All right,
always,
cheers,
thanks
man.
so much. Alrighty. Thanks everyone on the live for chiming in as always. Catch us again tomorrow, same time, same place for another one. And of course, the ladies' room came to you through the kind compliments of Beacon Insurance and Western Union.